Hi, my name is Abel Amunga. I am an actor, a voiceover artist. I am a father and a businessman. Now, what does it mean to be a man? Being a man doesn't just mean you've grown up with a beard or with a voice like mine. It means you are a responsible person. It means you're a person to be looked up to. It means you're a person who is accepting to fail. It means you're a person who can be remorseful, a person who is able to own up to his mistakes and say, I am sorry. That is what a real man is.
Hello everybody, how are you doing? Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be watching from or based on your time zones. This, of course, is the All Man Show, and I'm your host, your friend, and your coach, Robert Burale. This is a show that brings great men, not perfect men, men who want to be better tomorrow than they are today. We bring men who will inspire, their stories will encourage you, will make you feel there is light at the end of the tunnel, or even better, that you will be the light that will light up the tunnel. Today, I have another great man, a personal friend of mine, but beyond that, a man who has encouraged many by his own stories, by his the work we see him doing. And let me tell you, you will not be disappointed. He is none other than Mr. Abel Amunga. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Arabi.
Always a pleasure to see you.
I'm happy to be here.
Unajua sauti yako ni kama ya James Earl Jones. Have you heard of James Earl Jones?
Yes.
This is CNN.
Yes, exactly.
I hope you make a lot of money from this voice.
I don't.
Good to see you, ndugu yangu.
It's good to see
Thank
you,
you
bro.
very much for honoring our invite.
Thank you so much.
And we do believe many people here will be blessed by your wisdom and just your journey as well.
Thank you so much.
Tell us, who are you? Beyond what we see, you know, people see you on TV, people see you doing all these functions.
Yeah.
You know, when you were down here just now, a guy approached and says, you know, you emceed my company. It was a bank manager. You know, so we see that.
Yeah.
But many want to know, who are you? Not this famous guy. Who are you?
Okay, Abel Amunga is just an ordinary guy. A father. A father. An entertainer and a minister of the Word of God. I'm a musician. I minister mostly through music. And that's about me. If you have to know about Abel Amunga himself, not
Right.
other names that you see on TV.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's been quite a journey.
It's been a journey.
I mean, I've done functions with you. As you say,
Yes.
entertainer through music and
Yeah.
all that, emceeing.
That's right.
How did you start, really?
Well, I didn't plan
When
how.
to Mta?
Meaning to Mta.
Okay.
Actually, let me say God has everyone's destiny. And when God wants to shape you towards your destiny, things just shape up like that. You don't really struggle. Like I never struggled. I never thought one day I would be an MC. I never thought one day I would be an actor. Like a lot of people ask me, what did you do to become an actor?
Yes.
I did nothing. I was just there. I just had to flow with the wind. Like everywhere God asked me to go, I just went. Whatever God asked me to do, I did. And I found myself here.
Right.
There was not so much effort. I never went to so many auditions. I never, I only did theater once or twice. But someone just discovered me through my voice somewhere and they said, hey, can you do radio? Yes, I can do radio. So I got onto radio some 20 or so years back.
Oh, you've done radio?
Yes, I've done radio.
Okay.
I still do radio now, though. But I was a presenter. I started as a presenter on a program on KBC. And I did for some years. Then I quit and became a freelancer to do voiceovers here and there. But currently, I'm a station's voice for Citizen Radio. So it started with voicing, and then eventually people started noticing me. They invited me for auditions for TV commercials, and I did quite a number of them. And then eventually producers for TV series noticed from what I do on TV commercials. So that's how I landed into real screen acting.
Right. And let me put you on the spot, my friend Abel. You're in the creative industry for many years ago.
Right.
How different is it with now? And I'll say this, and I'm sure a few people may bash me for this. Squeezy, we see people just appearing and go for auditions. They're not serious. There is no discipline. Now, it is very hard to hear somebody 20 years from today saying they started 20 years ago, the way you have said. Mm-hmm. What is it that we do, especially the now generation, that wanakuja kwa industry, 3 years wametoka? What are they lacking? Discipline? Or what can they do different?
First of all, I know a lot of people come into the industry with very wrong motives, because I've had a lot of people approach me and tell me, look, I want to be an actor like you. Mimi hata sitaki kulipwa. Nataka tu nionekane kwa TV. Nataka tu nikuwe celeb. You see that motive?
Hivyo tu.
Yeah. So a lot of people come with that motive of, I want to be known. I want to ABCD. You know, just like they do music. I have also had a few artists approach me saying, oh, I can sing. And when they sing, you want to block your ears. Yeah. So a lot of people come with very, very wrong motives. You do not come to the industry of acting because you want to be known by everyone. You want to become a celeb. You come there because you want to explore, like get out what God has put inside of you. If it's actually inside of you, you cannot say nataka kufanya hivi nijulikane. It just burns out of you. It wants to come out of you.
Now tell me something, huh? Sorry, unajua lazima nikuwe smart, kuna kauchafu hapo.
Uko tu smart.
Niko smart,
Uko tu
nimejaribu
kabisa.
Hii kazi si rahisi.
Si mchezo.
Now you've been in the industry all these years. Tell the viewers, there's a young man watching who wants to go into the industry. What are some of the pillars that have held you, that you are still at the top of your game 25 years later?
Yeah, very good.
Yes.
Actually,
so what are some of the
22
things
to be precise.
22.
Yes.
Ni vitu gani ambazo umefanya that zimekushikilia?
First
I want you to speak to a young man out there.
I want to speak to you, young man. Mostly the ones who approach me and tell me, look, what have you done? Just the same question RB has asked me. What has held you there? First of all, it's discipline. Discipline has to be part of your lifestyle, not just once, not only in one field of acting, but you have to be all-round disciplined, from family, from the street to the streets, to your school, to where you practice that industry, where you practice your talent from. You have to be disciplined. That is what holds you where you are supposed to be. Because a lot of things tempt me. A lot of things tempt all actors and artists. But look, if you succumb to them, you'll go nowhere. It's going to kill all your efforts that you started from square A. You end up maybe on square D and you are completely done. Some of us are still there and we're still struggling. But look, discipline has maintained us. And another good thing to note also is, if you know God, then your discipline is not really hard for you to struggle. Then you are responsible. You have someone you report to. You report to God. And in my case, I have a personal relationship with God. So that has really enhanced my discipline in my industry.
Wow. I want to go a bit deeper with you. And I hope every young man, every young lady, don't just get into the industry because you want to get famous. Don't get into the industry by doing silly things so that people notice you. That will not keep you long in the industry. And you're hearing this from a man who has been in the industry 22 years and still counting.
Yes.
Well, I hope mumefungwa masikio na masikio maneno yote.
And I'm not about to retire.
You're not about to retire?
No.
No, we don't want you to retire. We want you on our TV screens longer, another 22, 25 years.
I have seen actors who say, oh, nilikuwa na act. I used to act. I was nowadays, I left it for the young men. No. The older you become, the better you become.
Absolutely. But discipline is key, and God.
Discipline is key.
Abel, let me ask you this. In this life, umekuwa celeb hizi miaka zote. But you also have had some tragic things in your life.
A lot.
You said you're a father.
Yes.
Literally raised your daughter by yourself. Great woman. And what happened to your wife?
Well, I can't say I raised my daughter. I always say this in interviews. I never raised my daughter alone. If God was not in this, she would not be where she is. I would not be where I am right now. I have a father. I am a father. I have a father, and I emulate that father.
Right.
And that's why I made it.
Okay.
Coming back to your question. Where's my wife? She's in heaven. Because when my daughter was born, she was with her mom for a few years before I took her up. I got my daughter out of wedlock with my high school girlfriend, and she eloped with someone when my daughter was 9 months. While I was out here in Nairobi going to college and also struggling to, do odd jobs here and there to fend for them, and she ended up with someone there. Obviously, because from what she told me, she was lured by her sister, her elder sister, who told her, this guy in Nairobi cares nothing about you. He'll never marry you. But in my heart, I had committed to get married to her. She was my first love. So that was my first disappointment. But it was really good because it led me to Christianity. I was so frustrated. I did a lot of things. I went into boxing. I tried to venge my anger in boxing. Yeah, I'm a trained boxer. And eventually I found it was just null and void. So that's when I embraced Christ as my Lord and Savior. And then I had to get another lady. I got married to her. And after some time, my daughter's mom and the husband, the relationship turned toxic and abusive. So he would beat her. He would use my daughter as a house help, you know. So when I heard that, I was really, really uncomfortable. I was just like barely a year married to this lady. So I said, no, I'm not very comfortable my daughter being in that family. A few years after that, probably months after that, I heard she had been beaten. She was expecting another baby because she had had like two children with that man. And then she was expecting another baby. And that man turned violent and hit her in the stomach, and she had a stillbirth. So she ended up in hospital, where she also never made it. But before she died in hospital, I went to visit her, and she told me, look, the best thing you can do for me is go get your daughter from that brutal man before he kills her. If you want to keep her, she's yours, you can keep her. If you want to return her, once I get better and I'm out of hospital, you can always bring her back. So I went to Ruth from that man. Her situation was pathetic.
Was it?
She had, this, not typhoid. Kwashiorkor. She had kwashiorkor.
So she wasn't being fed well?
She wasn't being fed well. She was being mistreated. She was being abused. She had never been to school at 6.5. She had never been to baby class, nursery, nothing. She had never worn a shoe.
How did that make you feel as a father?
That pricked my heart so much. It really caused so much bleeding inside of me. I cannot describe. And that is probably what made me be what I am today, by sacrificing to give her the best life I could.
Yeah, because I know she has gone on... there's a time she went on social media and put a long post appreciating you.
She's always done that.
Yes, but there's one that touched me.
Okay.
She put your photo there and put a very touching, you could tell it's from her heart.
Mm.
So when you went to pick her...
Yeah, so I brought her to Nairobi. My mom, her grandmother, insisted she wanted to keep her at home, up country, but I said no. This girl has never had a father's love. Let me go with her to her stepmom, that is my new wife.
Right.
And try and give her whatever I'm able to give her. So I brought her to Nairobi with me. We were just 1 year married with my wife. And then they bonded very well.
Oh, they did. I was going to ask you that.
They did. The first year, second year, they bonded quite well. I was even jealous because every time they would go out and leave me alone in the house, they would make small outings like that time we used to be Uhuru Park on the boat, you remember?
Yes.
They would draw, they would ride camels there and all that kind of stuff. So I was really proud. For the first time I had a family, I had a loving wife, I had a loving daughter. The only hindrance I had was language barrier because she could only speak one language, Luya.
The Ruth that we know.
The Ruth that you know. At 7 years, she could only speak Luya. So that lady really struggled to teach her Swahili and a bit of English. And I really was there to be like the interpreter because she would say something to this lady. And this lady would look at me like, anasema nini? And I'm like, anasema anataka chai.
I'm going to ask you something. We are fathers and there are many fathers watching. Did you feel when you went and saw this beautiful daughter of yours not being fed well, hasn't been to school, didn't have a pair of shoes, did you blame yourself at some point?
Of course I did.
You did?
Of course I did.
How did you get over that? Because I know there's somebody watching who is at that place, blaming themselves.
Yeah.
They're like, had I been here earlier, it would not have been this bad.
Yeah. A lot of people are in my situation, the situation I was in a few years ago when I blamed myself for not being there for my daughter. It happens to all men. And that doesn't make you less of a man. It just makes you an emotional man, a man who knows how to own up to his responsibilities. You can never be perfect 100%. You have to accept to fail sometimes. And when you fail, pick up your pieces and keep moving on.
Wow. Guys, you're just taking me to another trance because, I'm trying to reconcile Ruth then and the Ruth we know now, And gentlemen, you've had from a man, and of course you're still coming back after the break, you've had from a man who did what he needed to do, traveled to go and make amends. Well, I'm sure there's more. So please quickly rush, especially if you're a Luya man. Go and take your cup of tea, 2 sugars, make it a bit dark. Have your glass of water. We'll be back after the break. This is the All Men Show, and I'm here with a great man. 22 years in the industry, still counting. Disciplined and God are his pillars. Mr. Abel Amunga. See you after the break. Well, thank you very much. I mean, the first part of this show is quite emotional. I mean, when you hear some things, you hear the heart of a man and the pains and the successes, the highs and the lows. Well, I have Mr. Abel Amunga, for those of you who have just joined, a man who is an actor, he's a musician, he's one of the best MCs we have in this country and beyond, a great man, a father, and a mentor to very, very many. So tafadhali, sit tight because we are about now to go 33,000 feet above sea level with Mr. Abel Amunga.
Oh, wow.
Abel, you're talking about the pain you felt when you went to pick your daughter when she was 6 or 7? 7. Understanding only one language.
Yeah.
And I'm insisting on that because we can't believe the person she has become.
Yeah.
If you hear that, it'd be like a pana. She cannot be the same person. But we are talking about the same person. But I want to get to your heart because definitely there's a story of forgiveness and just getting back and doing what you have to do. And there's some men who, as you've said, are in that situation.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you a failure. You're just an emotional man.
That's right.
And you needed pillars around you. Mm-hmm. And the beauty for you is that your wife then played a major role in helping. Many men may not have the same story. True. Maybe wakileta mtoto wanasema huyu mweke kando. But yours is a bit different.
Very different.
So how long did the process take for you as a man now? Because the joy of a father, you're a father like me. My greatest joy is to see my daughter succeeding.
Congratulations.
You understand? So now for you, yes, we are seeing your daughter doing great things right now, known all over the world. But take us back to, as a man, how did you feel, will I really make this? Will it happen? Tamrudisha shule. Will she catch up?
Very good.
Yes.
Very good question. Actually, I was coming to that. I thought maybe we might bypass that.
No.
So what happened?
Hapa show ni yako. Wewe ongea.
Ni show ni yangu.
Wewe show ni yako.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, RB. So I brought her to Nairobi, and at the same time she's struggling with the language barrier. I was thinking about education because now there was no way I was going to keep her in. I could not do homeschooling for her. I was out there trying to, hustle and make sure we make ends meet. So definitely had to think about the education perspective. And I sat down and I asked God, what do I do now? With a 7-year-old who has never been to school, who doesn't even know how to spell A to D. In fact, if you ask Ruth to say, can you tell me A, B, C, D? She would say A, T, P. Ruth, forgive me for this, but that's the truth.
Then, not now, of course.
That was then.
Yes.
1986, 1992, 93, thereabout. ATP, ATPT, things like that. You look at her, you want to cry, you want to laugh. It is humor.
But you're feeling pain for your daughter.
Feeling pain for my daughter and feeling pain for myself. And feeling like I should not forgive this lady for whatever step she took, because I was out here. Every time I was telling her, look, I'm trying my best. Let me just put myself together and we'll get together as a family. And then she just goes to another man. It was really hard to forgive her. That's why I had to
go for boxing. But before we go there, ATPT hizo zote.
Yes.
I want, when you went to pick your daughter, of course that other man was there.
Yeah.
What was the conversation like?
It was chaotic. It was messy. It was bad, but it wasn't physical.
Okay.
Because if I would have gone physical, it would have been bad. So I just said, hey, I'm here to pick my daughter. Oh, najua kumekuwa na hapo kipu, kumekuwa na shita hapa na pale. Najua mila zetu. I'm here to pick.
Story mingi tuwache.
Yeah, tuwache. Chukua hii. Just gave her whatever I had. Took my daughter the same way she was on her bare feet. Kama bata na kanyaga chini.
Did she resist?
No, she didn't. Apparently, even before then I met her, she would always come and stand here.
Okay.
Last time I met her when she was at her late grandma's, maternal grandma's place.
Yes.
She would just come and stay here like for as long as I was in that house.
Her place of safety.
Exactly, she was here. That's the first time we really, really bonded. She just came and stood between my legs, and she was there all the time, looking at me like this. So there I took her. I said to my mother, her grandmother, no, there's no way you're having her. That's how I came with her. I really struggled with her. I took her to class 1 when she was 7 years. Thank God there was a teacher called Mrs. Webuye. She's late right now, RIP. So Mrs. Webuye took her in, and she started coaching her in Luya. All the subjects.
Whoa.
Swahili in Luya, CR in Luya, math in Luya, everything. And she would give her extra lessons during breaks, during weekends. I mean, that lady, may God rest her soul in eternal peace. Mrs. Webuya really worked on Ruth. And just 1 year down the line, Ruth was able to spell her name. She was speaking Swahili. She was spelling A to Z and everything. She was good. She was promoted to class 2. I thought she would repeat 1 like 3 times to cater for all the missed classes. But she was promoted to class 2. Then I took her from Dr. Kraft Primary, then transferred her to Uru Primary. She repeated class 2 there. Then after class 2, she never repeated 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 8. And she passed. To
the family of Mrs. Webuye, for of course, may she rest her soul in eternal peace. May the Lord rest her soul in eternal peace. And to any family member of the Mrs. Webuye that Mr. Abel is talking about,
yes,
may God just richly bless you.
Amen.
So she didn't repeat. She went on. You're seeing her journey grow. But take me back. Her mother was in hospital the day she told you, listen, if you want your daughter to survive, go and pick her.
Yes.
Did you have a conversation after that? What happened after that to Ruth's mother?
I told her, we'll do as you wish. Actually, that's what pushed me to go and take Ruth, because I had her word. Initially, I believed a child is more safer and more comfortable with the mother than the father.
Right.
And that's why all this time I had left her to be with the mother.
Absolutely.
Despite the fact that she was married to another man. But my main interest was to know that they're okay. I'm providing for her, you're sending her mom small stuff here and there. 30 bob, 20 bob then, And I had a feeling she was okay. Little did I know that she was going through all that. So I'm losing the question again.
No, what happened? She passed on.
Okay, after she asked me to go and take Ruth, I took her, came back to Nairobi with her, and 3 months later, I got a report that she had passed on.
How did Ruth handle that?
Ruth, I never told her immediately because she had just joined class 1. So I waited until the holidays, and then I told her, look, your mom is no more. We have to travel home and pay our last respects to her. So we just traveled. We went to her graveside, and we stood there, paid our respect, and came back to Nairobi. Ruth told me, I'm okay with you, Dad. I'm good. Though it hit her a little bit later, I realized, as she grew and started realizing how she lost her mom and all this, because of course some of the stories I would tell her, it sort of hit her, and that was another turning point as she grew up and started now embracing reality about the loss of her mom, it also really was a touching moment.
Ruth is very creative.
She is, yes.
So does that mean in a way to help her heal? Because she's taken over you. I mean, she's just you.
Yeah.
She sings. She's a performer.
She's a performer, yes.
I've seen both of you in your element. She is the female version of Mr. Abel.
Without a bald head.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yes, exactly. Without a bald head. Bald head. Now tell me, did you deliberately go around with your daughter when you're doing your gigs? How did you discover? Because you've picked a girl at the age of 7, not knowing a word of English, Kiswahili, that Mrs. Webuye had to teach her maths, English, history, geography in Kiluya. All right?
Yes.
She has lost her mother. And of course, you're also attached to the woman who gave birth to your daughter.
Yes.
So it's all a very tough and dark situation for all of you.
Very.
Did you take her out with you to help her, or was it by default? And by the way, I found out from somebody that her mother used to work in a salon, not Ruth's mother, that my friend's mother, and you used to take Ruth to the salon there, somewhere in Buruburu, okay?
It's a small world.
And you leave Ruth there,
yeah.
and you say, take care of my girl, and you go and try make a living. Did you now at some point, because you're seeing this journey, and there are many men maybe now getting inspired. Oh, this guy managed. I'm going to ask you a tough question.
Please do.
There are some things as men we find uncomfortable talking to our daughters. I mean, kama wanaume, kwanza sisi Waluya. How did you manage that season? Kuna vitu.
By the grace of God, I did, though not 100%.
Yeah.
I brought her so close to me. I'm going to fast forward my story.
Right.
So that now this can have more meaning, how we became so close. Because
Yes.
at some point I said they were really close with the stepmother, but it never lasted. It only lasted for 2 years. Then after that, the relationship became bitter again.
All right.
So that was the beginning of the long story. This lady, this young girl, has been in an abusive family with a stepfather and comes back to this family. She sort of tests a mother's and father's love for a very short time. Then it was to become very short-lived. And then she's almost back to where she was before.
The pain.
The pain. So that's what caused me to jump in really fast and try and salvage this young soul. Because now this lady, sorry to speak, my wife, she became abusive again. I don't know if it's the spirit that followed her. Because after 2 blissful, beautiful years together, she just turns around and starts abusing her. Emotional, verbal, and even physical.
The same thing she went through in her first 7 years.
Yes.
So what did that do? When you say you jumped in to salvage this young soul, what did that entail?
What happened, this lady took off after 5 years of marriage. From what I heard about, from other sources, is she got frustrated because she could not get a child of her own. So she was tired of mothering a child who is not hers biologically.
Right.
So she was, like venging out this anger to
An innocent person.
an innocent person. Because to me, she would once in a while tell me, why we would go to hospital, we would visit specialists, and everything was okay. I was okay, she was okay. So I would tell her, now, you wait. The issue here is you waiting. God is going to bless you with a child. And even if he doesn't bless you with a child, he has already blessed you with one. As if that's not enough. I don't care about having a child or not having a child. I have you because it's you I loved. I never saw children in you when I loved you. I saw you. But she never had that. One day she just decided to pack her stuff and move on. So that's the point. Ruth and I were left. Just the two of us.
That's the two of you.
And I sat her down. And I told her, look into my eyes. From today onwards, you will never be exposed to another stepmother.
You made her that promise.
I made her that promise. But at the back of my mind, I was saying, oops, what have you just said?
Kimeumana.
Kimeumana hapa. Nishajifunga.
But you've said it.
But I've said it. Mwanaume ukiamua unaamua. So I decided. She went. I tried to get her back through my church pastors and elders and everyone. She kept, avoiding us. And then it just ended up like that. After 11 years, she passed on.
Wow.
And she was a Taita. So I was left with Ruth. But we had been together for all those 11 years after she left us. And Ruth had grown. She understood everything. She remembers her fondly. Even now, what I like about Ruth, she doesn't remember most of the bad things that happened to her. She remembers the few good things that she experienced in these two families.
Right.
So that, I guess, is what has kept her strong and going.
And since you're talking about somebody I know, even when she's ministering, she ministers from deep within.
Yeah.
All these highs and lows she went through. And she's turned out to be a great woman of God, a great human being. But your closeness has held both of you, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Ruth has been through tough situations that needed a strong man as a father. And I want to come into this because I want men out there who sometimes feel inadequate. Our daughters, our sons need us. Ruth has been through tough situations. She became #1 in the Project Fame.
TPF, yeah.
And I remember, ulinipiga simu tukavote. Tulivote.
Yes.
But little did you know, the joy would also turn into pain at some point.
Yes.
And then the people who are celebrating her, then some start abusing her because of her dress. You had to shut the noise as a father.
Yeah.
Was that tough? Did you feel as a man at that point that, man, am I going to hold this girl? Because vita ya national ngumu.
I stood with her and I went to, I went public. I went to TVs, I went to newspapers, and I said, look, everyone might turn against my daughter, but I will stand with her alone. I'm ready to stand against all of you who are against my daughter. And that happened because I stood by her alone. And I also reassured her, I told her, Ruth, everyone will fight you. All churches will fight you. All pastors will fight you. Everyone has their own weaknesses. This is not something you chose. You've tried to explain to them that you are dressed. You never came out from your house dressed the way you are. You are dressed up. But they wouldn't understand. But I know you as a father. I know the kind of discipline I've instilled into you. I know the kind of woman you are. So worry not about the rest of the world. I am with you.
Abel, did that at some point in secret take me to your bedroom at night? Take me to your car when you're alone. Did you feel broken? And you felt like, is she going to hold?
Imagine you alone standing against the entire world. Everyone throwing stones and condemning and saying all sorts of negative things, and you being the only person to oppose them. If it wasn't for God, adui angenimaliza.
And allow me to say this to anybody watching. Imagine just abusing somebody, not knowing for 7 years she had never been to school, never had pairs of shoes, had kwashiako. So before you pick a stone to throw at somebody, please think not once, not twice, think 10 times. You don't know their journey.
Very
and
true.
To every man out there, I think all our children need is the voice of a father, assuring your sons and your daughters that the world may be tough, but I'm willing to stand against the whole world to shield you. And I'm sure that held her strong.
Yes, it did.
Because she was like, if my father is with me, I don't care what the whole world says. However painful it is, but the man that I trust, the man that I used to stand between his legs when I was young.
When I was, my height was at his knees, yes.
The pillar of a father, the arms of a father, the voice of a man instills confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you after the break. Well, if the whole world is against you, a man goes on national television and says, I'm willing to stand alone against the whole world. These were the words of a man who stood by his daughter, having understood the journey that nobody knew before the daughter became a public figure. He said, I will stand firm against the whole world. Mr. Abel Amunga. You know, what we're seeing through you is a man who denied yourself quite a bit. Because the truth of the matter, umejidinai vitu mingi sana.
Sana.
But you made a promise and told your daughter, never again will I expose you to a stepmother. And that was actually you denying yourself.
Yes.
Because fast forward, even when she got married, you walked her down the aisle by yourself, really, as the father and the mother, for lack of a better word. So she went through that season. Then you also are one of the most accomplished actors in this country.
Thank you.
Now imagine public figure father, public figure daughter. How was that affecting you during those seasons? Because we know you. You know, we know you by your own right.
Yeah.
Now you have raised a daughter that we know her by her own right. So when you're in these movies you're doing, TV series you're doing, functions you're doing, how did you get the strength? Because you still have to do what you're called to do. How did you go through that now as Mr. Abel? Because you're in the public domain. It's easy if you're an accountant.
Yeah.
Kwa ofisi umejifungia na gazeti.
Well, I guess that's the reason why God had to bring Ruth into the public domain, because being where she is, she really would understand where I'm coming from as a public figure.
Yes, sir.
You would not believe how many times she has taken screenshots of both positive and negative comments out there and posted them to my inbox and said, Dad, look what people are talking about you.
Oh, is it?
Aki, we celebs. As celebs, what we go through, you know. So she understands. If it was someone else, they would say, is this my dad they are talking about? What kind of, is this? But you see, she knows because she's been there before. And I warned her, I told her now, in this kind of life, you have to be ready for all the darts, all the arrows. They will come being directed to you. And never worry about me. I will never judge you. Yeah. And I will never condemn you. I will stand by you. Whatever people say, you're also a human being. You are prone to mistakes here and there. And I will never judge you by your mistakes. As you grow up, you learn a lot of things. No one just grows up like a tree. Yeah. You have to go through a lot of stuff, a lot of negatives and positives to become strong in life. So she knows where she stands and where I stand. And both of us being public figures, we have our advantages and disadvantages. There are favors just come your way because you're a public figure. There are places I queue, and then because I don't like kukata line mimi spendi. And someone just comes and says, excuse me, you're being called on the counter. I'm like, no, I'm okay here. I want to take my time because I have all my time. No. They're saying, no, you are embarrassing us. You know, such places. And Ruth and I, we've been through those challenges. A lot of people think that when you are in the public domain, you have money, especially people who do not understand what being in the public means. They think every person we've seen on television has a lot of money. So there's all these requests coming in, mtoto wangu school fees, nani wangu, niko na mgonjwa hospitali, a lot of these things. They don't understand that we also have our needs to take care of. And also, when you run out of resources and you try and approach someone, RB, please, can you lend me 10K? Bazoo.
Yes.
And you are left there. No, I'm serious. Want
to enjoy.
You are left there wondering now, what will I do? Where will I move from? So such challenges are there, but we have overcome them by being ourselves. We are real. I am real because I've lived in the same house for all those years before I became known and before I became known and after I became known. I've just been living in the same house that I know I'm able to sustain the rent. I don't want to move into a mansionette where I'll start looking around for coming to your show and asking URB to help me solicit for money from the public because I don't want to do that.
In fact, on that note, Mr. Amunga, please look at that screen and speak to the public figures. We've seen many trying to live based on what the public wants to see. Then they come to the headwind, and then they start saying, man, I wish I knew. Please speak to them.
I'd like to speak to you, people who are in the limelight, like me, actors, musicians, acrobats, even the wannabe preachers. Some of you call yourselves apostles, and you have no church. You have a briefcase church, lakini uko hapo unataka kujulikana, unapiga matai na nini na nini na nini, unataka uonekane. Wewe ni musician, unapiga ma rugged, manine man finished, ma Nike na nini na nini, ma Adidas.
Sorry, unfinished ni nini?
Zite zimeraruka huko.
Okay, sawa.
Yeah.
Mimi
ni mzee kwako na kwanza unajua. So if you're there and you're seeking this this public life, you want to prove to the world that you are who you are or who you claim to be, my friend, you're on a very wrong path, because you cannot prove to the world who you are. Just live your life, be yourself. Where you are trying to prove to the world who you are and you're not that is what's going to give you an emotional breakdown. That's how you're going to enter into what we call depression. Na depression inakujanga bila odi. Unasikia unaanza kutembea kwa barabara ukiongea vitu zako mwenyewe. Please live your life. Live your standard. Buy what you're able to buy. Eat where you're able to eat. Don't go to a place you'll eat and then start making phone calls. Nitumie 2,000 kwa M-Pesa because you're not able to pay that bill. My friend, be who you are and you'll be the happiest person.
Wow, thank you so much. You know, you have taken us on a journey, and I'm sure there's some people who are even like, wow, I wish we knew this. Hata kuna wale walikuwa natupa mawe before, wanasema kama tungejua hii story, hata hizo mawe hatungetupa.
Yeah.
Be that as it may. Then along this journey, because I'm going through the journey of fatherhood. It's because we have very many absentee fathers.
Yeah.
And I want men to realize sometimes being a present father is not buying presents, gifts. It's
true.
having your presence. Yani uwe tu hapo.
Yeah, wepo.
You know, yeah. Now, along this journey, and then this young girl that has given you the privilege of being called a father, that is Ruth, God blesses her and she gets married. And I felt bad I couldn't attend because I was out of town. Mm-hmm. And then you walk her down the aisle, this beautiful day. That is the pride of a father, knowing what she has been through. Now, that which you did not get, the pain you went through with a stepfather and a stepmother, now, Ruth, you can now raise your own family. And then bad luck hits. And Ruth loses her husband. She didn't have the privilege of having even the first year anniversary. Again, your daughter calls upon you to stand with her. When the same public start accusing her of things that were so unfounded. I'm saying this because the day the husband died, I was with you at the hospital.
Yeah.
Abel, I saw a broken man in you that day.
I was.
Let me tell you how broken you are. You may not have realized this, and maybe nobody told you. I will tell you today. You had your mask on, and you wanted to drink water. You forgot you had your mask on. Have you been told this?
No,
I'm telling you that today. And I moved aside with somebody and we prayed for you.
I drank
water.
I attempted
to drink water and the mask was
my
on.
mask was on.
Yeah. And I knew you were saying, man, my daughter has been through a lot. Now I'm being called again to stand with this girl. Where Nigeria and Kenya are hitting her. Yet you are seeing a girl who is in pain, knowing what she went through. You're like, God, did you question God? How can one person go through all this? How did you remain sane? And how did your daughter call upon you at that time? Because all the pain she has gone through are different. There was address, there was an abusive relationship, but this is her family pulled apart. How did you remain sane?
First of all, who told you I remained sane?
You didn't.
I wasn't. It was really hard on me. It was really, really hard on me. Of course, you experienced me trying to drink water with my mask on. That was insane. I was quite insane. I first of all want to thank God, because if you do not know how to lean on God, you'll be broken. I'll not be where I am. I'll be done by blood pressure, because I had issues with blood pressure then because of all those whatever I had been through. And my daughter knew. But when she was called by the hospital to be given the news about her husband's death, she never told me on phone when she was heading to hospital. She called me in the morning and she said, "Dad, can we meet at the hospital? We have things to sign." Because she just didn't want to bang the news to my face. So she told me, "We have things to sign. Can we meet now?" Like, what are we supposed to sign? I thought we signed everything. She said, "Just come." But with my little wisdom, I knew
Something is wrong.
Something is wrong. I woke up, never took a shower. All I did was just dress up and leave. And when I got there, it was true. It was confirmed that my son-in-law had died. It was like just the world came crumbling on me. And at some point I wished a lot of things I wouldn't like to say here. But it had happened. There was nothing I could do. Little did I know that this was going to be an exodus of a lot of other negative things from the public and the people that were supposed to stand with us, bashing her, pressing her down even further. She's mourning the death of her husband. She's being hustled here and there by the public and eventually by the Criminal Investigation Department, the DCI, Directorate Department, who are on her case concerning the same from what had happened on social media, which took long. We would go to DCI and spend hours there, like from 8 in the morning to 6 p.m. She was expectant. She was in her early stages. Sometimes she would skip lunch because we would not get time to go out and have a snack. We are sitting there being questioned. It was bad. An innocent person who has lost her husband, she's expecting a baby, being sat in a room, being questioned and cross-examined here and there, not being given time to go and eat or even get fresh air. Implications, some kind officers, some unkind officers. That was really unbecoming.
Just the way you told your daughter during the Project Feb issue that I'm willing to stand against the world to protect you. So that stands out in that season. You are broken yourself. And I'm trying to lead our viewers to a broken father who has to be strong for a daughter who is breaking. Is there a word or a sentence that you told her that you could see on her face? Nimemshikilia na hii statement.
I told her, you've been through a lot of stuff. A lot. This too shall come to pass. It may not be now, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next year. But one day, you will look back into all this and shed a tear, not a tear of sorrow, but a tear of joy where God has brought you from. One day you remember your husband with a tear on your face, not a tear of sorrow or sadness or mourning, but a tear of the blessing that God brought you God brought into your life for a very short time. Because she loved that man for real.
Of course, I know.
They had the ups and downs, yes, everyone does, who doesn't? But she loved him. And I know for sure that guy also loved my daughter.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why I had to give her away. So today, as she continues to heal slowly and slowly. She tells me, yes, Dad, what you said is true. Because sometimes I sit and I remember him and smile, at the same time cry.
Abel, what did that teach you about friendship, that season? They say problems, dark seasons, reveal your true friends. What lessons did you learn? Are there people who, on your personal capacity, who you'd have thought would stand with you and didn't? Of course, we don't mention names in our show. This is not a gossip show, not at all.
I even forgot the names. All I know is that there are people who I really expected so much from, but I received zero. Actually, some of them I received minus. When I say minus zero, is that they gave me minus what I expected. A lot of people. And I would say tragic moments is like a sieve for for you to know who real friends are, because it helps you to sieve, and the real friends will be sustained. The ones who are not friends will go down. So I discovered that whatever remains on the sieve is little. What goes down is the most. Even when you're sieving flour, what goes down is the most. So what goes down here are the friends that you expect to have stood with you, but they will not be there. So a lot of friends went down the sieve. I was only left with a handful. And the ones that were left were so unexpected, because you look at them and wonder, I never knew I had this friend in this person. Just because they were not able to express it, but they were real friends. People who have been praying for you in their closet secretly. People who have been sending money on my daughter's phone through M-Pesa, and not knowing which person is this. We don't know them. But the very so-and-sos, the ones you would expect would stand with you, are nowhere to be seen. The only time you get to hear from them is when they are saying something negative about you. Gossip. So through that experience, we learned up to today to know who our true friends are. And that happens to everyone. When you go through a dark moment, appreciate that dark moment, because through that darkness, you're going to see small, small stars shining. And those stars might not be very familiar. Those stars are your real friends. All other friends, the ones you call BFFs and all that, they are hidden in that darkness. You might not see them. When you see them appearing, they will appear with funny faces, and you will know these are not your true friends. True friends are the small, small stars that you struggle to see.
Wow, just even getting carried away. Appreciate the blessing in the pain. And as Mr. Abel has been speaking, maybe you are going through a very dark season right now, and you're wondering, where are my friends? Stop looking for the BFFs, as you call them on social media. Look for those dark stars, these bright stars that you struggle to see. And just like he told his daughter, that these too shall pass. So to encourage you, these too shall pass. We're talking to a man who has done great things by himself, by his own accord, made promises to his daughter that he kept. And today, he is the proud father of one of our greatest members of this country, Madam Ruth Matete, who is a serious woman of God, great creative, and just a blessing to many people. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you on the other side. Mr. Abel Amunga, what is the most interesting thing you own?
Friends.
What is your favorite sport to watch?
Boxing.
If you could have any meal right now, what would it be?
Chapati and dengu.
What is the one common misconception about you?
That I'm the richest man in this country.
What is your fondest childhood memory?
Church.
What compliment do you receive most?
Wisdom.
What is the one thing that you want to do before you exit this world?
Impact the life of a child.
In one word, describe yourself.
I'm loving. I love children.
What is your dream car?
Toyota will always be.
Give one advice to a young man looking up to you.
Be real. Accept to fall and rise and move on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amunga.